Blanky time. It's almost time for Blanky time. Come along and take our hands. We're going to Blanky land.
The founder CEO guy would like encourage and tell parents like we would prefer them not be on medication.
Right.
And because some of these kids are like brainwashed. Like I've had kids verbatim say like I'm not myself if I'm not on my meds.
Yeah.
And founder CEO guy would be like, "No, I think you're more of yourself. I like you like this." And just like encouraging like a positive mental space of dudes hanging out. But to say like, getting out and doing something, one with, other guys, some form of activity, but two, like specifically outdoors, it unlocks something in your brain.
No, I agree. I think what it does is, takes our brains off of this like autopilot mode where it's like the daily grind. Like we wake up, we do the same thing, and our brains never actually wake up. Like it's just like, that's like the way our memory works too. Is like we remember certain things that stand out that took us out of our routine, and so when you make effort to get outside with other people, and it breaks down that wall, but it also takes our brains off of autopilot and allows us to like open up to ourselves a little bit, and then also be willing to be vulnerable and open up to other people. I think that's huge. So get outside, man. Do something.
Want me to blow your mind real quick?
Blow it.
So, there was a recent study done. I was trying to find the study. Anyways, basically the study found out that chopping wood, either cutting down trees or splitting firewood, boosts your testosterone more than playing sports does by a significant margin.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the numbers were chopping wood would basically have you produce 48% more testosterone.
Wow.
Versus sports, which only would do about 32%.
That's crazy.
And so, a lot of times when you're doing like camping or outdoor stuff, you're going to be chopping wood of some kind. But testosterone, I mean, in this study, they found out that like, where is it? 13 million men in the United States have low testosterone, and that's by today's standards.
Wow.
During either the 70s or 80s, they lowered the threshold for what was considered the high to low range for testosterone.
Really?
Yeah. So like, I had my blood work done last year, and I was like slightly above the middle range for my testosterone level, but on if that scale was compared to like what it would have been in the 40s and 50s, I was in like the borderline like low margin for testosterone comparatively. So there's a lot of studies that are starting to come out about how like doing like quote unquote micro dosing of testosterone to help men specifically, because it helps like mental health and also like body health in general, like your all your systems and everything like that.
I found a stat earlier talking about testosterone. It says where's it at?
So anyways, start
so
chopping
like,
wood.
Yeah, well, just in general, like that lower levels of testosterone are directly correlated to depression, stress, and mood swings among men. So I mean that tracks for sure, man. And like when it comes to depression, anxiety, things like that. Like that's not something men are gonna be very forward about and like
Yeah.
admit to, just from like I guess a pride thing. But again, I think getting outside, like getting active, being with like-minded people that, even if it's not for the agenda of like being vulnerable, it's going to not only take your brain off autopilot, it's going to open you up to yourself. It's going to, create, raise your levels of testosterone, which are going to help you feel better, even if it's a momentary thing, which are going to allow you to maybe be in that spot where you're willing to share something with another dude. Just be like, hey, man, like, or just, I mean, you've been on trips where like that's where the deep stuff comes out, like
Yeah.
the discussions that you've wanted to have, or like things that you're going through or thinking about. Like it happens in those types of situations where you take yourself out of normal and allow yourself to just be like, yeah, surrounded by nature and other people who uh, maybe are as closed off and walled up as you are.
Mhm.
So I think that's huge, man.
Yeah. And speaking on like the low levels of testosterone leading to depression and all that stuff, that basically also correlates to why people in the transgender community have the highest level of suicide.
Uh,
I think because I I don't think I so sorry, let me start over. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm pretty sure the male to quote unquote female transition is a larger part of that community. You know, people who are biological males
oh,
transitioning.
because of
And so
the lack of
when you go on
testosterone.
when you go on HRT, it's basically chemical castration.
Right.
You can look this up. HRT has been used for chemically castrating prisoners and all sorts of stuff.
Right.
But that's basically nuking your endocrine system,
Right.
which is kind of all your hormones and testosterone's in there and yada yada yada. Plus, they're biological males, and as we talked about earlier, people who are male tend to commit suicide more. And so, why do you think it's exacerbated in the transgender community? It's because
With lower level, a sudden drop in testosterone levels,
which leads
and
into more depression. Plus, on top of that, they're probably struggling mentally, anyways.
right, because of like the gender dysphoria, or just not, the identity crisis of not feeling like themselves or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot. I mean,
Which it's so sad.
the
Like,
LGBT community anyway is struggling with like mental health. I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I'm sure, there could be numerous podcasts about, but
yeah,
like, is that, being as high as it already is, but you're saying with males that are transitioning, it's even, I mean, higher. It makes sense that the drop in testosterone, based on that research, I mean, that kind of tracks. That's interesting.
yeah.
That's one thing. I just want to touch on. Did you get to both of the things you were gonna say?
I don't know. I'm just kind of rolling.
Okay, cool. I was gonna talk a little bit about one of the reasons I think mental health is such an issue for men, but just, I mean, I think we're seeing a whole cultural shift right now where it's just becoming very, it's brought into the light a little more, I guess. Um, but I think our schedules have a lot to do with that. How busy we are, how connected we are, how much information we're being fed on a daily basis. Um, I mean, we live in a constant state of like hurry and like, you know, frazzled existence. Like we're always in a rush, basically. Or at least I know personally for me, that's how it is. Like, um, the culture has really kind of pushed this idea of like being on 24/7 and go 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 and nonstop mentality, and especially like as a business owner, I know you're a business owner, like it's really easy for us to fall into that mindset of just like I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. And so like I find even myself like trying to get up and sneak out before the kids wake up and see me because like I just got to get stuff done, man. I got to go do this thing. I got to go do that, and like this constant state of hurry, I think really just like makes the problem worse when it comes to like depression, anxiety, just like specifically anxiety, like just like there's an actual diagnosis called hurry sickness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where let me read some of the hurry sickness statistics.
Side effects may include
Yeah.
running, jumping, sliding across car hoods,
All right.
hurrying across busy streets, and explosive diarrhea. Is that part of hurry sickness?
It's not.
You have to hurry to the toilet when you.
I think this is it. Nope. So sorry. I should have had this together. But basically, the idea is like this has been diagnosed by doctors as like something that is affecting pretty much everyone. Dang. Oh, I spelled it wrong. That's why. There we go. Boom. Okay, so you can cut out all this dead space.
No, I'll leave it in. I'll leave it in for you.
Oh.
A classic Matt moment. I'm good at riffing. What I was going to say about the whole hurry thing is like, you know, as Christ followers in the Bible, it literally talks about Sabbath, or, you know, essentially a day of rest where you don't do any work. And that can mean a lot of things in Jewish culture. They, you know, because of how they structured their law and everything, it kind of perverted that, and that's why when Jesus came, you know, he kind of had to tell them, like, you know, hey, chill out. I'm getting some grain. I want a snack, right?
Right.
And it was like, that's not work. Y'all are looking into this too much. But especially in American culture, where it's just this drive culture, it really is beneficial, and, you know, it's becoming more of a thing where, and that's the interesting thing, is a part of this sort of mental health movement is like, especially people in my generation, and now millennials are kind of catching on, where they're like, the workplace relationship is different now, where they kind of realize, like, you know, in a way, now it can get out of hand where people are just power tripping, but essentially, you know, like, if you are being employed, in a way, you know, the employer is having to serve their employees to a certain extent.
Right.
And so that's why, like, you know, in boomer times, you know, the workplace relationship was a lot different. Well, there was a lot more commitment, and there had to be, because businesses were smaller. You know, you could actually climb the ladder back then, right?
Yeah.
Now our economy's not structured like that, and so that's why, like, older people find it like terrible, like, you know, just quitting out of the blue,
Right.
you know, not giving a 2-week notice or anything. But really, a lot of the way American industry is structured, it has the leniency allowed for that, where you can just quit at a drop of a hat.
Right.
And millennials and Gen Z type people are realizing, you know, I don't have to slave away. And that's why there's honestly, like, somewhat of a renaissance starting to spark up, with people deciding, like, you know, I want to be passionate about a thing, and, you know, do my best at it. Because in reality, if you're going to do what you're passionate about, there's probably other people that are going to watch you be passionate about that thing and support you be passionate in that thing.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the main reason why I, started Oak Nut Workshop in the first place. But, with that, in a way of resting, if you're, I mean, this is a common trope, but if you're doing something you love, it's not work. And you can even do something you love, like, in a completely chill and restful environment.
No, absolutely.
And it's not, like, mentally straining at all. And so part of like Sabbathing, is, getting rid of all distractions when it comes to, modernly that's basically like your phone and TV and
Right.
stuff. But like a way to modern Sabbath is like, me and Sarah are building a house, and so one of our rooms is going to be like the designated like study/library, where we're going to have like our record player and cassette player and stuff, and there's not going to be, phones allowed in that room. It's going to kind of be like the Sabbath chill room in a way where
That's what's up.
you can just, take a break. And
I think that's something that we've gotten away from as a culture. I mean, you think in the 50s, everything was shut down on Sundays, right? Like
Yeah.
all business stopped. And so like it was even like ingrained in our culture, or, our grandparents or whatever, like everything stops on this day. We stop from commerce. Like that's very much not the case now, where again, it's just we're go 100% of the time, 24/7. And like we have like you talk about Sabbath today, most people that are Christians are going to be like, "What? Like is that a thing?" That's that's not mentioned in the Jesus
Sabbath is where
doesn't
you-
command that in the New
you go to
Testament.
church
Like, what are you
and
talking
blah,
about?
blah, 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 blah,
That's
and
when we do all this stuff on Sunday.
Yeah.
But that's
Which
not
really
the reality.
Sabbath thing.
And it's not so much like from a command standpoint. Like it is so wise, dude. There's so much wisdom in taking a break. I mean, I think like there's so much wisdom in just being able to stop and take a break. That's something like we've been doing for 6 months now. I think is like having a weekly Sabbath, right? And it's been super life-giving. It's very difficult at first because especially like running a business, but not like take the business out of it. Like the idea of stopping from all the stuff that you normally do is very difficult
Not
because
communicating with anybody.
it's so like ingrained in us. Like I have to constantly be on. I got to have my phone with me. I got to like respond to people. I got to like do whatever. We got to do housework and there's always stuff to do. But like taking a day, turning off your phone, turning off the TV, being with the people in your house, like being present and just like at like a resistance against like the cultural narrative that we have to always be on. And it's been super just I mean, I know you guys have gotten a lot out of it from like y'all's.
We haven't done it like super consistently, but like the day after is like you're kind of high. In a way. Like you're just like buzzing, like floating, like your brain's clear. Like I have a let me reset.
Are you high right now?
No, I have a constant trope that I say, like, I'm not firing on all 4 cylinders right now.
Right.
Like I always feel like I'm on like 2.5.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3.5. Or I drink a G Fuel and I get to like almost 100% 4 cylinders.
Right.
But most of the time, like day after Sabbath, I'm coasting, dude. No misfires, no nothing.
Well, I think that goes like, I mean, look at the creation story, right? Like the first day that Adam and Eve were alive is the Sabbath, their first full day, right? You know, man was made on the 6th day, the 7th day is rest. So it's like this idea of like working from rest instead of working for rest. And like our culture is just like work. And then you have the weekend. And the weekend, what do we do on the weekend but like buy stuff we don't need and like call it relaxing or catch up on like yard work and chores around the house or like whatever. But this idea of like having a designated place that like that as your starting point for the week and it's just this day of delight or whatever, where we stop all the chasing. We learn to have enough. Like, we learn what it is to just be content with what we have, and then we work from that space. Like, it really like fuels you for the whole week, man. And it's hard. Like, I'm
Yeah.
talking like I have it figured out. I definitely don't. Like, it's very, even on a weekly basis, it's like, oh, tomorrow's Sabbath, we got to do this, this, and this, and like, there's been weeks that we've skipped, but I think as a rule, having that in your life is so good for your like mental, like just being able to stop pursuing, stop chasing, and like, this idea like of just being content with what you have, learning what enough is, and then that you don't have to just go, that you can like just be a human for a day. And that's been super cool for me. I did find that list I was talking about, hurry sickness, earlier. So like,
Send it.
the idea of like, we're so busy and so on all the time that we literally have been diagnosed with hurry sickness. And so there's a couple questions you ask yourself just to kind of like, okay, maybe do I have hurry sickness? What does this look like? First thing is like, if you're coming to a red light, right? Which lane do you get in? The lane that has the fewest amount of cars in it, or the lane that's like backed way up? Most of us, me specifically, I'm shifting lanes, bro. I'm getting in the lane with the fewest cars so we can keep rolling.
I normally do it like, I look up ahead and I do it like right after the light I just went through.
Right.
When people do it when there's like only a car space left and you're swerving over, then yeah, they got something going on.
So, yeah, that's me, guys. Number two, like, you're at the grocery store, you're getting ready to check out, and you're looking for the cashier that has the fewest people in their line. That's another potential sign that you may have hurry sickness. But here's the 10 symptoms of hurry sickness. The first one is irritability. So you're increasingly irritable. That's like 100% of America right now.
Grumpy grouch.
Hypersensitivity. So like, you're just like super sensitive all the time. You're on edge. You're restless. That's another one. So like, you just like can't sit still. Nonstop activity. You just keep going. I got to get this done. I got to do that. Well, I worked all day. Let's go home and cut the grass. Let's do this. Emotional numbness. Like, you just kind of numb out emotionally. Your relationships, you're not like, connecting with your spouse or whatever. Out of order priorities. So like, things that should be important get pushed to the back. Lack of care for your body, so you just kind of like let yourself go. Escapist behaviors like binge watching TV or eating or whatever. Neglecting your spiritual practices or disciplines, skipping like Sabbath. Bible reading, Sabbath. Like, I'm too busy to Sabbath.
Yeah.
Skipping whatever, prayer. I'm too busy to pray. And then lastly, isolation. Just like shutting yourself off from the rest of the world. And so like, for a long time I had
to be an American where at least I hurry.
I like that. It's the new version. I think most of us are like that, like have the majority of those symptoms. Maybe not. For a while I had all 10 of them.
Yeah.
Just like, but that's just like what it means to live in 2023 right now. It's like everyone just has to hustle.
Yeah.
And I think that correlates directly to people's like mental health and anxiety. Like, think about how quickly our culture is paced now from like, okay, let's think about the invention of the sundial. I'm going to take it way back. The invention of the sundial,
Stick
right?
in the ground.
There's a poet around the time that the sundial was first being used, and his quote is something along the lines of, "May the gods confound the man who invented this device to like keep my hours." Like, and so like that's when we don't think about the sundial as
Yeah.
being that revolutionary, at least to the way that our days are run. But for a few people, they're like, okay, now I have to structure my days based on where this thing's pointing and where the
Yeah.
sun's at.
City folks and their flying machines.
And then like fast forward like 1300s or whenever the clock was made. Monks actually were behind the first clock. But the idea was so like they could keep track of their hours of prayer or whatever. And then like fast forward a little bit more, Edison and the light bulb. Before the light bulb, we slept like 11 hours a night, dude.
Yeah, dude.
That was the average. The average. Some of you still sleep 11 hours a night. Good for you.
Because even if you use like candlelight, you still like candlelight in a way is
sets the mood for sleep.
It sets the mood
like,
for Blanky Time.
For Blanky Time.
No, it actually like kind of makes you sleepy in a way still,
Yeah, well, I think
where like a light bulb freaking.
I mean, when it gets dark
jarring.
in the fall at 6 p.m., dude, you just go to sleep. You can only read for so long by candlelight before your eyes start, and you just go to sleep.
Yeah.
But, like, no wonder these spiritual giants got up at 4 a.m. to pray every day because they've already been asleep for, like, 8 hours, So it's like, when the light bulb was invented, that kind of shifted things. Like, Edison himself, dude.
Freaking Edison.
Like, worked so much, like, all the time. Like, he was just pissed that he ever had to sleep. He said he would never sleep if he didn't have to, but
that's
anyway.
like Da Vinci.
Yeah, so like with the light bulb, like you see this massive shift because now we're in control of when, and so we kind of shifted the way our bodies relate to time again. So you have the sundial, the clock, the light bulb, and then fast forward 2007. What happens in 2007?
The recession.
I was about a year before that, but
Well, it was
2007, the iPhone.
Oh.
Right? The iPhone
Or
is
the iPod. Was the iPod first?
The iPod was a few years before that, but the first iPhone comes out in 2007, right?
Oh, okay.
And that's that was like the transition point.
Yeah.
You have Facebook launches that same year. 2007 changed everything because now we have literally the world at our fingertips. And then I feel like we're finally, how long has it been? Like 2007 was 15,
Don't ask
16,
me.
15 years ago. 15 years ago, we're finally starting to see like what the iPhone has done mentally to a generation, to 2 generations now that have been using it. Like even people that like I didn't start texting until I was in high school, bro. Like the end of high school.
Yeah. Well,
the
same.
phone, like it didn't even. The iPhone came out when I was a senior.
Yeah, I got a flip phone when I got my first phone, so
Yeah, I had a flip phone.
into it.
Yeah, I had the flip phone.
And then
But it's like it's forever changed the way we relate to everything. We have loads of information coming in every day. Like more information is produced every like 2 hours than was produced from the dawn of time to like the 1800s or something. Some ridiculous stat. Like ridiculous amount of information. It's also leading to anxiety. There's so much we don't know and we want to know. And so like all of this plays into our mental health, man, because if we're always on, we always have to hustle, we always have to be working or doing or thinking or progressing or moving forward. And then we have the world at our fingertips where we can literally like know whatever we want to know whenever we want to know it. We can see whatever we want. And now with AI, this is going to be that another transition point, 2023, with like you have all of these chatbots and not even that, but you have like your photo AIs and your video AIs and your like voice AIs
and the Google Pixel where you can erase people out of existence.
Right, exactly. Like, dude, this is going to be another point where like there's no going back from this. How does this affect us as human beings? How does this affect our minds? And like I've just been trying to tell myself it's okay not to know things. Like when we were talking about this,
culturally
Sarah,
that's like it's the complete opposite now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me Google it.
Yeah.
But we don't have any actual knowledge you know, because everything's at our fingertips.
True.
And so like being able to like just say, you know what, I don't have to know that right now,
Yeah.
has been good for me mentally.
Mhm.
Just to to put my phone in another room. Like we were on vacation last week. Dude, my phone stayed in my bag like the whole week
Yeah.
because it's just like, and that's so hard.
Mhm.
So I got to check on the business. I got to make sure everyone's getting paid, and like I don't have any people expecting something from me, and it's difficult, but it's necessary to just be like, dude, I gotta step away from this because it's literally like it's reshaping the way we're thinking. So I don't know, man. I think hurry, connectivity, our phones, so many different things that play into this like epidemic.
Yeah.
And it's not just affecting men, but it's just interesting, man. I think that's a big cause.
There was a thing that was kind of funny where it was some like Gen Z, like younger Gen Z person on TikTok talking about how like it would be cool if we had like a family phone that always stayed like on the kitchen counter or whatever. So if people needed to call, it was just there and we wouldn't have to use our own phone. Or like people wouldn't have to like text your phone. They could just text the family phone or call the family phone.
Oh, sweetie.
And people were stitching it and they're like, that's a landline. Like home phones, they were a thing.
We've been there, buddy. We've been there. That's
Which honestly, like it would be kind of nice to have a home phone again.
right.
You know, because there's like so many times like, me and Sarah would be sitting on the couch or something, and somebody like texts me or calls me trying to ask her something or calls her, and it's like if you just had a landline, like 80% of that would be negated.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down. I'm down for it, man. I'm
Landline.
trying to like. I mean, you see how many unread text messages I have on my phone
Yeah.
right now.
My uncle Everett still has a corded landline that I can call his home phone. 402.
402 unread text messages.
That's
So
pretty gangster.
if you're texting me,
You ain't getting it.
don't expect a reply.
Yeah.
And most of those people are my friends too. It's like it's probably why I don't have many friends. But like that started from me just being like, okay, dude, I gotta get off my phone.
Yeah.
I gotta get my head out of it every time. And then my phone's going off all day, every day, with work stuff and whatever. Like I just got like sometimes I just can't reply.
Yeah.
Sometimes like I'll reply days later. I hate being that dude, but it's like.
Yeah.
I'm almost to the point now where like if you need something, just call me and maybe I'll answer. Like, but I just have to disconnect from that because otherwise it'll consume me. And like I said, I still reach for my phone. It's the first thing I do in the morning, right? Because that's what we've been formed to do by the choices that I've made over the last 15 years of the iPhone being a thing. Is like these micro decisions have formed us and shaped the way we think, and what we think about, what we desire is who we become. And it's like that is the real question, like who are we becoming as people? And when it comes to our mental health, what is our thought patterns and the things that we're feeling inside actually making us into? And for a lot of people it's detached, sad, depressed, like shells of humans. That's sad. So I don't know.
Today's episode is brought to you by Oak Nut Workshop. I am the owner and founder of Oak Nut Workshop. I am a maker, a craftsman of all things, basically. So if you need custom work out of wood, metal, or leather, blacksmithing, metal fab, carpentry, all that jazz, you can find me at oaknutworkshop.com. I'm also very active on social media, so if you want to check out any of that stuff, go to Oak Nut Workshop on all social medias. That's OAKNUT.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Grateful Coffee Co.
Tell
What?
me why.
What if your coffee could change the world? Well, we believe it can. We source some of the best coffees in the world. We roast them in small batches. We deliver them directly to consumer within days, and we use all the money to do good in Guatemala. We partner with nonprofits who are devoted to doing good, building communities, and changing the world. So your cup of coffee can change the world. You can find out more on our website, grateful.coffee. I'm also not super active on social media, but we post from time to time, and it's pretty dope stuff. You can find us online at grateful.coffee as well. Grateful.coffee.
The best dirty beans in the business.
Yeehaw. You're about to say something that's really lame, aren't you?
Something that, I mean, it seems lame. It's an important point, but more people are starting to realize or learn about basically the everyday life of a man and what we go through. And for other men, it's a bigger thing than others. But something that like really highlights kind of the difference between the male experience and the female experience was done by a lady back in 2006 named Nora Vincent. Have you heard about Nora Vincent?
I don't think I have.
So Nora Vincent, she was a lesbian, and she did a like humanitarian experiment, something she called it something like that, where she pulled like a Black Like Me except as a dude.
Okay.
Right? So she like gave herself a buzz cut and wore chest flatteners and went as a guy named Ned and tried to, basically do everyday life except as a guy.
Okay.
So like tried to get a job, tried to join like a couple different men's clubs and stuff like that. And because she was a lesbian, she also tried to like date females.
Right.
And so she has a book called Self-Made Man. And basically her whole experience kind of changed her views on, quote unquote, how easy it is to be a man, and like how terribly men are treated by women. And this is in 2006.
Yeah.
So now
I
it's
feel like we've progressed
probably
a good bit.
a bit worse.
Yeah.
Because even if you look at like, clips where people are just like doing like funny questioning people in the street or whatever, and they ask like girls, rate yourself 1 out of 10, right? Most of the time they're always saying they're a 10, and dudes are like, I'm probably a 6 or whatever. And then like when it comes to like realistic standards and stuff like that, they're way out of proportion.
Right.
And so Nora like would try to date women and stuff, and talked about how terrible the experience was and how she didn't realize how terrible women were to men. And also how like men get picked on way more, and like as a dude, I think most of us, it's kind of just part of like growing.
Oh yeah.
And like learning actually how to be meek in a lot of ways. There's not enough meekness going on, which meekness is basically having the ability to destroy and use your strength, but reining it back and, controlling that and knowing how to use that in a gentle manner. Which I don't think there's enough men learning how to be meek, which that's a whole another thing about like toxic masculinity, basically.
Right.
But in the end, this lady ended up committing suicide just because of like
Nora did?
yeah,
Wow.
because of just all the different things she went through as a man, and her experience. I wanted to read the book because I heard about the story, and that's just another thing I kind of wanted to bring up about is like if you're a female, maybe just like actually ask a dude how he is and, how his
Yeah.
experience in life is, for once, and try to see through somebody else's eyes. Because there's definitely things that, like, because I'm a dude, it's easier to be the butt of a joke, which basically my whole existence is being the butt of a joke.
Oh, same, dude.
And
Welcome to my world.
and I've come to terms with that, but not a lot of guys have a healthy relationship with making fun of themselves,
Yeah.
and which leads again into the whole suicide discussion.
Uh-huh.
Because for a while, like, I did, I guess if we want to get into like my mental health stuff, like I was, and I guess am again now because I am in a show, a theater kid, and so I got called like gay a lot and made fun of, and also my laugh is like SpongeBob and a dolphin had a love child, and
Yeah.
that's my laugh.
Yeah.
And for a while I was like ashamed of my laugh, and people would make fun of it, and all these things, and I basically had to learn how to make fun of myself and have fun with everybody else and not be a party pooper about myself. And I think that's something that's hard to learn because a lot of people take themselves very seriously or hold themselves up on a pedestal.
Right.
And yeah, so part of that is like learning how to make fun of yourself. I don't know if that's the best way to say that or if that's healthy. But currently, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean there's pressure on both sides, dude. It's hard being human, you
Yeah.
know, but I think guys obviously carry pressure when it comes to like me as a dad, dude. Like
Yeah.
there's all this like anxiety of just like, oh man, I gotta not screw up my kids. Let's and like especially if you don't have any other friends or a lot of other dad friends, it's difficult because there's not a lot of people to spin ideas off of and like
Yeah.
talk about stuff like that with. So like there's that pressure, being a husband and like business ownership and that, like, I mean, this that relates to, I mean, women too, like being a mom, being a parent, being a wife, running a business, like sure,
But
but
most of the time, the weight falls back on the dude, at least like culturally. Like,
yeah,
just
I
look at
think
like
so, yeah.
divorce settlements and like
Right.
with kids and like child support and stuff. Like there's a decent amount of women out there basically exploiting their former husbands and not. And this isn't everybody, but it's definitely a common case
Right.
where the woman gets full custody somehow and basically gets a welfare check from their former husband to live life as a stay-at-home mom, but
Right.
everything is completely supplied by the father. When, like, if you want to talk about like equality, which that's a whole other thing, but like gender equality, that's, if you look at it just through that lens, that is completely unfair.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the man gets demonized, and a lot of the the reasons why the divorce happened or whatever reason it is gets all put on the man, and it's the man's fault. Because men in today's culture kind of are scapegoats for a lot of things, and I think that part of that is just because some of us are willing to take it just so that way we don't have to deal with anything else.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the cases, like these dudes who are paying 100% child support or something ridiculous, is sometimes they would rather just, eat it and do that. But now, there's a decent amount of men out there that are in that position that are like, actually, I don't want to be treated this way. I want to be treated with decency, and I think the decent thing for you is to, do your part and help out in this situation versus me, supplying everything for you and you not having to do anything.
Right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think too. Like, men are, like you said, it's just easier for them to just like suck it up and take it. I think, or like that's the mentality
Or
anyway,
bottle
that
it up, really.
that the culture kind of pushes. Is just like, be a man, take it. But I think there's a lot of guys that are finally like being able to like just get real and be like, man, like I don't want to hold all this inside. I don't want to bottle this up. Like I want to have an outlet, whether it's people in my life that I'm allowing in, or like finding some sort of outlet. Like you said, make fun of yourself. I think more like just like being able to like, laugh at some of the stuff that's laughable, but like some of the stuff that bothers you, talk about it.
Yeah.
Just like, let it out to someone. And that just goes back to the honesty thing of just like being honest with yourself, with other people. And that kind of ties into the confession thing. Like, it's good, whether it's good or bad, like just being an outlet to like let people in. It's not a bad thing to like let people in and let them see what's going on in you. That's the only way we grow. And that's the only way we really like get out of this mindset of just like living on autopilot. Like when we actually wake up to life around us and let go of like the false versions of ourselves that we've bought into, and like lean into like the true version of who we are and who we're becoming. And all of that ties to like what we think about and how we handle the things we think about and how we I don't know, man. That's my take. So,
yeah. Well, you know what would help out a lot?
what would help out?
If guys just got a broski and had some blanky time with them.
Have some blanky time. I think that's a great idea. I think if you're listening, grab you a buddy, grab you a blanky.
Blanky up.
Blanky up.
Talk it out.
Yeah.
Have a good time. We've had not just under this blanky alone.
Many blanky times.
We've had many blanky times.
Many
had good
many
discussions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the way transformation actually happens, man. Like, yes, like it's a slow burn with like the formation of like our habits and our thoughts and but the moments of breakthrough are really when you bring someone else into the picture and you say, hey, like this is all my crap. Take it or leave it. And,
It's another metaphor for Christ.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is all my crap. Take it. And I think there's healing in that for sure. And it's not going to solve every problem, I'm sure. Like just getting vulnerable, it opens you up to a lot more hurt and a lot more trauma, and there's always that risk.
Yeah.
But there's also the risk that, hey, this could actually be the moment where things shift and change. So if you're struggling in your mental health, find someone that you can talk to, that you can open up to, get real with yourself, slow down, take a break, step back, get outside, be with someone else in nature, work together, open up, be vulnerable. Some of the things we talked about on these episodes. So hopefully they've been eye-opening. We're experts in this, obviously. No, we're not, but
Professional dudes.
we are professional dudes, and we both have had our, experiences when it comes to our own mental health. And yeah, you cannot do it alone, and that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That was a good cherry on top.
Yeah, man.
Well, if you liked this discussion, this is probably part 2, because we had a lot to say about this.
We had a lot to say.
So, pretty epic.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Subscribe. Like and subscribe. Subscribe.
If you have questions, if you have topics that you want us to talk about, you can email them to us. Where, Stone?
blankytimepod@gmail.com. That's
Yeah.
BLANKY blankytimepod@gmail.com.
And
Send this to people. You know, we got a consistent audience of about 6 so far.
hey, man, we love you guys.
So,
Let's,
and shout out Gabe. He's a dude that was in the performance with me that I was in last weekend, and he's going to school in Cali
okay.
for like film and editing and all that stuff. So he's dipping his toes a little bit, and he's editing like the different shorts and clips and stuff
That's
for
what's up.
funsies.
Yeah,
So
that's
shout
what's
out
up.
to Gabe.
We
for
appreciate you
helping us out and
yeah, bro.
making us look funny.
And just like giving the world some Blanky time. I think that's what everyone needs.
If we had a big blankie to wrap around the world,
dude,
that'd be epic.
Yeah.
It's like who was it that said if they had a long enough lever, they could move the world?
I don't know.
Was
who
that Da
was.
Vinci? You know, like a fulcrum, rod and fulcrum.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. That's a good, interesting question. I don't want to think about that.
If I have a big
hurts
enough,
my brain.
if I have a big enough blankie,
We could hug the world.
we could hug the world.
It's kind of like Us. The end of Us, where all of the doppelgangers are holding hands around the world, and they wanted to because there was that commercial in the 80s where all the kids were like holding hands, and it's like if we could all hold hands and stretch across the world, and that's how the movie ends. It's a pretty gnarly movie.
The only holding hands scene I remember is the Wendy's commercial where they're passing the sea salt fries down the line and everybody's holding hands.
Oh, well,
yeah,
they are good fries.
They're good.
Anyway.
Anyway,
All right.
Thanks, y'all. Blanky out.
Blanky out.